See, the reality is anybody can get excited for a day. Most can get excited for a week, a month, maybe even a year. But a winner will stay excited forever, how long it takes to get the job done. Welcome to the Badass Dad podcast. KDH here on the microphone in the Iron Yeti studios. Once again, very excited to have Buck Rogers with me. How you doing, Buck?
What's up?
Hey, man, I got some things I want to cover. It's going to be a little bit shorter and crisper, although I do have a selection of 6 books over here that we might get a chance to talk a little bit about from these different areas. But, you know, I've been thinking about, here we are. It's mid-October right now. The weather is finally beginning to change here in Colorado. And, you know, we've been on this lockdown for, 5, 6, 7, 8 months, whatever it's been. And my question is really, now what? Like, where do we go from here? I mean, at some point this is going to pass. The election's going to be gone. You know, all the things that are going on. You know, these are crazy times, but, you know, we've been talking about in the past that we're supposed to win no matter what. And, you know, I shot you a text message, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But, you know, what really got me thinking about this is that, you know, New Year's is right around the corner and people are going to be setting New Year's resolutions. And what I found is that New Year's resolutions, diets, budgets, they don't work. They simply do not work. I mean, if you look at the success that people have on those, they simply do not work. And now they may have a short-term benefit, but for a long-term, they really do not change. They don't change people's lives. You know, we did a episode a few back with KT and I, and we talked about really the lifestyle change to, you know, have a transformation in your body. But people just, they're not changing. So I want to give some perspective today, and I want to hopefully expand some minds and really share a few things here today. Okay. And, I'm going to go a little old school with you. And, you know, at the risk of, you know, I am an amateur on the Bible, but, you know, I think there's some great wisdom in there for sure. And, there's a great verse in the Old Testament, and it says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." And it could be translated in lack of vision. You know, another one says, "Without a vision, the people perish." And I really believe that one of the reasons why budgets, diets, New Year's resolutions really don't work is people are so focused on what they're going to be doing and not why they are doing it. You know, great Bill Gates, you know, he said that people overestimate what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And it is so true that we get so focused on the short term. Hey, you know, 6-pack abs in 6 minutes a day, you know, or, you know, if I do this workout in the next 90 days, I'm going to have that beach body that everybody wants to have, or I'm going to, you know, whatever it may be. And there's no real transformation that takes place because the transformation goes so much deeper than just the body. You know, it is a transformation of the mind and maybe even dare say the soul. You know, my good friend Greg Gunn, you know, he was in town a little more than a year ago now, and he has a business and a ministry actually called Family ID, which stands for Intentional Direction. And in it, he shares this. He says that every family is going to end up someplace, but not every family ends up someplace on purpose. So I want to spend some time talking about getting to there on purpose. This season of life is going to pass us by. It's going to be done. And, you know, Wayne Gretzky, what did he say? He said, you know, the difference between me and the other players is I skate to where the puck is going to be. They skate to where the puck is. So my question is, 1,000 days from now, should we live 2 years and 9 months roughly? Where do we want to be? What kind of impact do we want to make? You know, I was having a conversation, you know, with my son, Jacob, and probably by the time this comes out, we'll be done with the playoffs and everything else. But, you know, we're kind of entering the playoffs right now, and he's 13 years old. And, you know, 1,000 days from now, he'll be 16.
He's going to be driving a car.
He's going to be driving a car.
Yeah.
You know, and I've shared so many times that, you know, by the time your child is 18, you'll spend 80% of the total time you'll ever spend with them. You know, I've asked questions, you know, what are 3 things you want to teach? And I think it was Jason Burton caught me, and he goes, Kevin, you know that's not true. And I go, well, tell me why. He goes, it's not 18. He goes, it's 16. He goes, once I get that car,
yeah,
you ain't seen them that much.
You don't exist.
Yeah. And so, you know, I've just really been thinking about, you know, what I want to do over the next 1,000 days. You know, what are the things I want to experience? You know, who do I want to be? And really reinventing, you know, you are in the midst right now of reinventing yourself. I mean, for your entire adult life, for the most part, you've been on a single track, military, in the police, and now you're going a different direction.
Yeah, completely the opposite direction.
In reinventing yourself.
Yeah.
And so it's easy just to start thinking about all the things that you want to have. I want to have this kind of house. I want to have this many properties. I want to have this kind of income. And then you start breaking down, okay, so how do I do that? What do I need to do?
I don't ever think of that stuff. Like monetary stuff. Like I don't think about what kind of car I'd want to drive. And maybe that's a great motivation for some people. But for me, I always feel like I just want to accomplish the goals that I set out. Whether those goals like turn into what I hope they turn into or not is pretty irrelevant. All I want to do is look back and like if I journal everything that I want to do and for like every day for a year, and then I go back in that journal to 365 days ago, and I have a list of goals, I just want to have all those goals checked off. That is empowering to me. Yeah. Because then it's like no matter what I decide to do, if I put it down on a piece of paper, it's gonna get done. And if you're continuously writing goals on a piece of paper and doing them, there's no way you're not going to progress and move forward and be proud of where you are, a year from now or 2 years from now.
Right.
And when you talk about like people do, I hate New Year's resolutions. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Why do you need a new year to make resolutions? Do that today.
Exactly.
What are you waiting for? Make a list of things you want to accomplish and then do those things. Just get in the habit of make it happen and do it, and then look back and be like, shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it turned out to be something huge or not, you made a goal, you accomplished that goal. And if that's the kind of person you are that can make goals and accomplish the goals, you are going to be proud of where you are a year from now, 2, 3, doesn't matter. You're going to look back and be like, heck yeah, everything I said I was going to do, I did it.
Well, I love that because you actually stole the thunder from, a lot of what we're going to cover, which is ultimately is going to be the person you become, who you're going to become. So, maybe cars and stuff don't motivate you, but, having, 20 rental properties motivates you.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Okay.
All right, you got me on that.
Okay. So and you got a really cool Jeep, so you don't have to worry about that, but there are different things that motivate people. And, it's been interesting because it's so easy to get myopic, just to get so nearsighted on a thing, on an activity, thinking that this is going to be the thing that's going to get me there. I'll give you an example. I have a good friend of mine. They recently got married, and we were talking about their wedding and everything for a while and planning it forever. And finally I asked him, I said, listen, do you just want a beautiful wedding, or do you want a great marriage? And there was so much pressure on this one day for, things to happen. I'm like, dude, now I say that now we just had our anniversary this last weekend. And so I've been married 23 years. I remember the wedding, but I don't really remember the wedding. Okay.
You throw booze in there and nobody cares.
Exactly.
Everyone's having fun.
I mean, we were, to be honest, by the end of the day, we're just like, let's just get to Hawaii. We're going to Hawaii on our honeymoon. Yeah. So,
it could be in a barn. You throw the right people in there with the right amount of alcohol, and you guys are going to have a good time.
You're going to have a good time, and everybody will talk about it, and it'll be fun. But, so I have a question for you. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. This will be, I'll share with you a little bit about, my thought process, how I've actually used this in business, and then how I'm using it in my own personal life right now as well. But, when I would sit down with people from, the background that I come from the last 20 years has been in, helping people with investments, so investment advising side. And, if I were getting ready to take them on as a client, I would just say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, super excited about sitting down with you. And we talk a little bit about through some things. And then I'd ask them this. I said, hey, let me ask you this. Let's say hypothetically that you were my client and it's 5 years from now. Okay. Not 1,000 days, it's 5 years from now. And you've been totally satisfied with what I've done for you. What did I do?
Well, for me, that's an interesting question. But honestly, I would just go back to the one thing that I struggle with, which, remember we talked about the one thing, and that book kind of completely changed my perspective. It's like if I focus everything, all my energy on that one domino, and then I push that, then it'll lead to the next bigger one, right? So hopes for that, if you help me with that, is that I pushed over my one domino and it fell flat. There was no other dominoes behind it. Did you help me find the next one thing, the next big thing to put all my energy and all my focus to get over that, essentially that loss, and redirect the focus to the next thing that could have that domino effect that we're looking for?
Yeah.
So that, to me, would be the biggest form of counsel that I could possibly have, is like someone else to point me in the right direction and not let me become stagnant just because that one thing did not pan out.
And I love that, because it's so easy. The financial analogy that I used earlier, but it's so easy for things to go sideways, to go, oh, the market's this, my account's doing that or whatever. But to say, hey, remember the goal was to retire at age 55 or whatever that scenario was. Here's the interesting thing from a business world perspective. When I ask that question, the vast majority of my clients, good clients, share this with me. They go, Kevin, you know what I want more than anything is I want you to follow up and communicate with me. That's really what they wanted, because advisors they've had before never did that. They go, hey, Mark's going to go up, it's going to go down. I understand all that. But if you'll follow up and let me know what's going on. If I ask the same question and I said, hey, paint me a picture. 5 years from now, your daughter's 14 years old and she's in middle school, and you have the relationship that you love to have with your daughter. What does that look like? And you take some time and you would think about it and you would go, man, you know, probably something to the effect of, man, we have great communication. You know, when she had troubles in school or with a friend or something like that, she comes and talks to me, you know, and it would begin to reveal the values that you have in the relationship with your daughter.
Right.
Right. You wouldn't necessarily be saying, yeah, you know, and I bought a new pair of, you know, AirPods, and, you know, those things wouldn't really matter. What's really going to matter is the relationship that you have.
Yeah. She's still seeking guidance.
And she loves you and cares enough about the relationship because you've deposited so much into her that she's still coming to you. Yeah. When, let's be honest, I mean, a lot of kids, you know, everybody says, hey, you know, when they just wait till they turn teenagers, you know, like we heard, hey, wait till they're 2, wait till they're 3. Oh my God, you know, like, no. So my question is this: if we do make it through this, and the only thing that's left to tell is the story that we get to tell 1,000 days from now, I mean, it's almost 3 years from now, you know, which puts us into 2023. And these 1,000 days are going to pass no matter what. What did we do with this time? Did we have a plan for it? Did we not? If we know where the puck's going to be, we're going to be there. Then what are we doing to get prepared? Let's say, you know, we talked about finances. We've talked about family. We'll pick an easy one, fitness. You know, if I said, hey, Buck, at what age do you want to have your first heart attack? I don't want to have a heart attack, right?
Right.
Financially, if I said, hey, okay, so real quick, at what age do you want to file bankruptcy?
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Yeah. You know, if we want to go even deeper, you know, if I said, hey, you know, Pam's pregnant, about to have a little one. At what age do you want your kids to have their first divorce? That's radio silence.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't want it.
Right.
Right. So the question then is, what are we doing to put ourselves in a position that, as best we can, things happen, you know, medical issues can happen. People can, you know, have to file bankruptcy. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about what are we doing now to prepare ourselves? You know, I've shared before that wisdom is seeing seeing tomorrow's consequences in today's events. So understanding that, listen, the actions that I'm taking right now have an impact. The burpees that you're doing, I'm not doing. Burpees that you're doing.
I don't do all of them either.
In between rounds of jujitsu, those have a consequence, and the consequence of fitness and everything else. And what's crazy is it's all these things that are happening, and they're minor adjustments. I mean, it is, you know, right now Chris has us doing, you know, 5 I'm doing squats, but anyway, my knee. But we're doing 5 burpees in between rounds in jujitsu. 15 rounds, 75 burpees. That's a minor thing. 5 burpees.
Yeah, until you throw it in between like an exhausting roll.
Until you roll with Justin. Yeah. So, but it's those minor adjustments that a winner has to make that are so basic and simple that it's ridiculous. It just seems ridiculous to do that. If I just said, hey, do 5 burpees, okay, well, then get that done. Then we'll talk about what we'll do afterward. But it's so basic and simple that it's ridiculous. But that's why most people don't make them. That's why most people don't become a total success. It's just the minor adjustments that we have to go through.
I was at my buddy's house the other day, and it was like, he's like, hey, you want to go to the gym tomorrow? I was like, yeah, I do want to go to the gym tomorrow, but let's just do push-ups right now, and we could do some dips and let's just work out right now.
Yeah.
Let's just do burpees and push-ups right now. He's like, oh, I don't want to do and I was like, okay, well, I'll do them by myself. I started doing burpees. And then he's like, okay, fine, I'll do burpees.
Man.
It's like, if you're feeling motivated, lay it down.
Yeah.
Don't wait.
Well, I love that. One of the trainings I used to do back in the day was called TAN, T-A-N, take action now. I mean, okay, we can start working out Monday.
Right.
Hey, you know what? My favorite diet I've ever tried is the Monday diet. I'll start on Monday.
Yeah.
I gotta get through the weekend, right?
Yeah.
I gotta have fun over the weekend.
Right.
But Monday, well, you know what happens on Monday?
Cracking them beers and eating that pizza.
Next Monday.
Yeah, next Monday.
Next Monday, know. But if I really want to mess you up, we talked about 1,000 days. It's 2 years and 9 months. Okay, 2.75 years. What if I said 10,000 days? Like, where do you want to be 10,000 days from now? So 27 and a half years from now. Just calculate in your mind your age.
27 and a half years?
Yeah. You're old.
Yeah. Like, legitimately?
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I really think of for that far ahead, because I do not get that far ahead. The only thing I've done for that far ahead is for retirement. So I got the 2 rental properties paid off. They're not paid off. The goal is that by the time I'm 55, that they're paid off, and so then my income goes up exponentially, and we're making good money and chilling and not stressed about finances.
Yeah. See, here's what I'm telling you. People they don't ever take the time.
Mm-hmm.
They don't ever think about the vision. I mean, you understand your daughter is going to be in her mid-30s then, late 30s.
That's weird, dude.
That's
a weird thought.
Your little one's going to, be, 27 years old, and hopefully you're around. So, if you want to be around to walk them down the aisle, you better start thinking about your fitness now.
That's
you
true.
better start thinking about how I fuel my body. Your finances, you got to be thinking about that. So I'll make a little plug. So this is kind of a fun book here. And I'm covering them in reverse order than I plan on recovering, but this is it's called A Marriage Beyond the Dream. And so it's kind of interesting because this is actually written, kind of a cool cover. It's got this young couple on here, and they're, real close, like they're about to kiss and everything, in great, very seductive looking book.
Very soap opera-y.
Yeah, soap opera. This is actually written by a pastor and his wife. And on the back, it shows an older couple, standing at the foot of the Eiffel Tower. And, if you want to have a marriage that lasts the length of time, you got to have some kind of vision for it. And maybe as you're younger, you're going, man, my vision for my marriage is that, we're having sex 3 times a day, and, we're getting after it, and she loves me and she fixes me dinner. Okay, that might change.
Yeah, that will change.
Okay.
There's no might on that.
But you've got to have a vision. Without a vision, the people perish. Start having a vision. What kind of marriage do you want to have that impacts your kids? If we're going to set the bar, we're going to set the bar somewhere for our children. As a badass dad, why don't we set the bar so high that they got to really stretch to get after it? Financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. This is the call, because if we do, let's say we are granted another 10,000 days, man, that's another 27 years. Going back to Bill Gates, we underestimate what we could do. What if you had this vision financially, that not only are your rental properties paid off, but here your daughter is, in her 30s, and you have actually, she is the first one in your family that grows up completely debt-free, including her mortgage, because of what mom and dad did for her. that you are the last generation in the Rogers clan that ever faces debt because of what you did. And then her responsibility is make sure that she passes that on, and you teach her how to do that.
Yeah, I like that.
What if we decide to be the generation that shows our children how to not just stay together, so we didn't sign the divorce documents, but have, a marriage beyond the dream. One that continues to grow in intimacy, one that continues to go deeper and to evolve and to be well connected. What if we're the generation, what if we are the badass dads who make the decision that we're going to end, the health concerns that, so many things happen because of what we do with our bodies, and we decide we're going to, take personal accountability. This was one of my favorite books, man. This right here, Personal Accountability. And it was great because I read this book, man, I can't tell you, maybe 20 years ago. Yeah, okay, this book was written in 1998. Okay, I think I read it maybe 2 years after it came out, but I love this book, Personal Accountability by John Miller. Actually, he's from Denver originally, and there's so many great parts to it. But one of the things that I love in here is that he actually teaches the best way to ask a question. So instead of saying, well, why are people so fat? Who's gonna fix this problem? He asks a question, what can we do? What can I do to show my boys the path of how to have a great marriage, how to be physically responsible, how to build a business, how to all these different things. But personal accountability, kind of like what Jocko wrote, Extreme Ownership, before that. I got another book here. This was also another one of my favorite, and I lost the book cover on this, but this right here, I'm gonna have you read the title of this book, okay? I want you to read the title of this book because I think this may soon become one of your favorite books. So the title of this book is
Shut Up, Stop Whining, and Get a Life.
Is that great? Larry Winglet. Now, I got to tell you, because once I decided that I was going to start reading books, I decided I'd read them from the entire book. I read every single page that's in the book. And I love the dedication. Look at this. So I read the dedication. And what does it say at the bottom of the dedication that I wrote?
Greatest dedication ever.
Okay, so the greatest dedication ever. So he goes through here and he said, he actually thanks the people that are his haters. He dedicates the book to his haters. I love that. In the introduction, he actually said, now it's been a while since I read this. In the introduction, he says this. He goes, if you don't like this book, don't write me about it. I don't care. You're not getting your money back. Boom. He goes, you already spent your money. Get something out of it. Listen, the next 1,000 days are going to go by. The next 10,000 days are going to go by. What if you had a vision for the next 100,000 days? That's 275 years. That's multiple generations. What if generation upon generation upon generation is able to look back and say, because of what great Grandpa Buck Rogers did way back in the 2020s. Here's what's happened to our family. Here's who we became. These are the problems that were solved. These are the diseases that were eliminated. These are the things that happened, all going back to your vision that was value driven, that was who you became, the example you lived before them. See, the reality is anybody can get excited for a day. Most can get excited for a week, a month, maybe even a year. But a winner will stay excited forever, how long it takes to get the job done. And our responsibility as badass dads is to set the target and then get after the target. So let's look at this real quick. So, I kind of threw out the challenge of 1,000 days. And, I love, this was a great book also. So The Slight Edge. And in The Slight Edge, once again, it's so funny, man. I read this book. It's been a while since I read this book. So this book came out in 2005. But in this book, he says this. He goes, listen, there are certain things that you need to do more of. and you already know it. And there are things that you know you need to do less of. 2 lessons. He goes, there are things you need to start doing, you're not doing. And there are things you need to stop doing. Okay. And that's really the slight edge. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, he comes back after that and he goes, this thing that I got from him, of all the things that you can do to be successful, he gives an entire chapter dedicated to this. He goes, just start with tracking. Just track. So if you were to break down the 1,000 days, you could look at the 1,000 days as 10 100-day rounds. It's like we're sparring or whatever. Okay. So each round is 100 days. So inside of that, you're going to give yourself a score. Okay. 10-point must system, right? So do you get 10 points on this or do you get knocked down? You got an 8. What are you doing? Are you evaluating? Are you progressing? Okay. Progress over perfection. Inside those 100 days, well, you've got 10 days inside of there. Inside the 10 days, you have 10 1 days. So at the beginning, for the first 10 days, just don't change anything. Just start tracking. Maybe you decide this, okay? I'm working on this for myself right now. So I decided I need to, and I want to, challenge myself, do a little evaluation. What would happen if I just started drinking a gallon of water a day? Not a big deal. I've actually done it before, but if I did it every day, well, crap. I forgot how much a gallon of water is. So I got the big 1 gallon. I went on Amazon, got me. I drank like half of it yesterday, and seriously, I'd spent most of the day in the bathroom. Okay, I'm at football practice last night, and I'm like, dude, we got to cut practice short, man. I got to go. It's so simple, but I know that the impact of that is going to be huge. Here's one of the other things I'm doing. You want to talk about water? Go ahead.
No, I just don't know how many. How many of these equal a gallon?
I don't know. How many ounces is that?
We got
16 ounces?
16.9 fluid ounces, 1 point.
Was that like 8 of those, 6 of those? Something like that? Steven's figuring it out for it. 128 ounces. Okay, so that's about 8 of those.
8 of these?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not doing nearly a gallon.
Hey, I'll give you another one that I'm working on right now. Now, I used to, like when I was really getting after it in business, my goal was to do 5. I used to do 5 of these a day. But this is a simple thing that if you want to grow your business, want to grow relationships, whatever, and it's a handwritten note. Now I'm just doing 1 handwritten note a day. If I wrote 1,000 handwritten notes over the next 1,000 days, think about this. Here's why you do it. You go to the mailbox, get your mail every day. Well, whenever you get your mail. And what do? You're sifting through everything, right? And you go, junk mail, bill, junk mail. And you see a handwritten note in there on a postcard. What do you read first? You reading your bills? Going through the junk mail? Looking at the Costco catalog? You're going to read that one, aren't you? Think about how that makes people feel when you do that, when you sow that seed into them. That's a simple little thing. I'm just giving you a couple of things that I'm working on right now and get back in the habit of. But I just want to wake up 1,000 days from now and I want to be a badass dad. I want my then sophomore, junior son to be going, man, I'm so thankful you're my dad. I want him to want to be around me when he no longer has to be around me. I want my 9-year-old who will be 12 years old at the time to say, I still want you to coach my team. Not that I, pushed him away so much and ran him too much. I want my wife to be able to look at me and go, man, I'm so thankful that I've been married to you 25 years. I want my relationship with God to be one that is intimate and that I can that I can feel His presence close to me. I want one of my desires from a spiritual standpoint is I want to be close enough that I can actually feel the soft whisper of His breath on my neck. And that doesn't happen just by reading a book, getting a blog, spending a few minutes here or there. It comes by consistency. The intimacy comes by connection over time, repetition. We talked about the 5 steps of goal setting the other day on the F&G podcast. We talked about having a clear, concise mental picture, having that vision for what it is that you want, where you want to be. Having a date, 1,000 days from now. That was number 2. Making sure that it's stretchingly realistic. What if you set a goal? What if you set 1,000 days from now? My goal is to be able to give $1 million away. every year for the rest of my life. Well, crap. Guess what? You got to make a lot of money. Where would you do it? Where'd you get the money? Who'd you give it to? You have some guys in mind? The businesses in mind? Some charities in mind? It's going to take really stretching yourself and then breaking it into pieces. What's it going to look like? How are you going to get there? And then it's, as you talked about, when you talked about writing your goals, that repetition of writing your goals, continue to do that advertising campaign on yourself over and over and over and over again. I was asked this question one time, and it was a rhetorical question. The guy that asked me the question, his name is Jimmy Meyer. Jimmy Meyer said, "Hey, Kevin," he goes, "what is the greatest nation ever in the world?" And I go, "Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess you went back in time. Well, maybe United States, where we are now, or I don't know, maybe it was the Roman Empire." He goes, "No, the greatest nation of all time is your imagination." But you know what? Your ability to see it is incredibly important, and it keeps you on track. I'm working on some stuff. I've always got the ideas, whatever. So one of the things I'm working on right now is going from fat in my 40s to fit in my 50s, and really and talking about that, because, man, you don't have to be that way forever. But if you want six-pack abs, it ain't coming in a box, ain't coming in a video.
You seen Pat McNamara?
Come on, man.
That dude's jacked, bro. And he's got to be mid 50s. He's got to be in his 50s.
I mean, there are some great examples out there. Why not? Why not us? Why not us? So, I would encourage guys, as you're listening to this, start thinking about where you want to be. You're probably going to end up, unless you get something happens to you, you're going to end up 1,000 days from now. Either life's going to be the same or it's going to be different. Time to change the trajectory. And if not now, if we're not going to get after it now, when? What's it going to be? Oh, after the election, after the new year, if not now, when? If it's not going to be here where you are, where are you going to do it? Maybe you need to make a career change. Maybe you need to, pick up and move someplace. But I think ultimately, if we want to have the vision, the direction for our families, if it's not going to be us, then who's going to do it? Who's going to be the badass dad that stands up for their family and say, no more debt, no more, obesity, no more divorce, no more bankruptcy, no more, whatever it is that they decide to stand up and make a stand for their family. And I'm excited. I got a lot of energy toward this. I've been working on this for a while. I'm working on myself. I do want to thank, some people. We actually got a review. Oh my gosh. Here we go. So I got a review that I wanted to read. So love it when you guys leave us a review on the podcast as well. So, if you're downloading these, so we got a review. I'm going to send a shirt out. So, hey, D. Wright, Texas. Right. Very real, very good. Great content, great interviews. It's badass. Love that. Hey, so D. Wright from Texas, if you will. Hey, send me an email, and you can send it to kdh@badad.org, and I'll send you a shirt. I'm going to send you a shirt. Also, we've been getting downloads from all over the world. We've been getting some downloads from some guys in Afghanistan and Haiti as well, and our friends in Scotland. Yes. Hey, so real quick, one of the things I'm making the commitment for, if there's someone who is deployed or something like that, if you buy a shirt, go to the website, buy a shirt. So BadAssDads.org, buy a shirt, and tell me who you want to send another shirt to. I'm going to send two. So buy one. I'm going to send a second shirt out to someone who is either active duty or in police or, law enforcement or something like that. We're going to send one to them as well. So hit me up. You can send me a direct email on that, and we will get those guys taken care of. Man, I really want to support those guys that are protecting our freedom and protecting our rights also. So we're so grateful, so thankful for you guys. And, hey, the next 1,000 days is going to come and go. Are we going to make it intentional, or we're just going to go with the flow? Thank you guys so much. Have a badass day, and we are out. Hey guys, just want to thank you so much for listening to the Badass Dad podcast. We do need your help though. A couple different things that we could use. We want to grow our podcast and our message out there. We are getting so much great feedback from you guys, but we need your help. So we want to make it into the top 10. So if you could please, share. I guess sharing the podcast is a huge benefit. Also, if you'll comment. So if you'll leave us a comment, like leave us a review, and some 5 stars would be great. The other thing is, if you have a subject you'd love us to cover, maybe there's something you like the subject shows or an interview, or if there's someone you want us to interview, if you could communicate with us, you can hit me up at kdh@badad.org. So that's kdh@badad.org, or you can go to our Instagram, which is Badass Dads Podcast, and leave us a direct message there. And I'd love to interview people, love to hit the subjects you guys want to hear more about. Thank you so much for helping us grow.